Well, hello, everybody. It's Broadcast Team Alpha. It's the Wednesday show. It's Casual Wednesday. It's so good to be back with you, right? It feels like it's been a little while with the holidays and, you know, I think they fell on every show. So it's good to see you. How's it going, everybody? We are going to talk about some really interesting stuff tonight, some stuff that's becoming more and more prevalent in some of the work that we're doing. And it's really kind of fascinating. And I love how society or how more people in the world are opening up to the possibilities of working with energy and working with our thoughts and working with our thought energy and working with frequency. And I mean, just we are living in such an incredible moment in history, and we get to be here and do this. So I know a lot of people are going through stuff, because there's a lot of different energies, and if you get caught in one of those lower energies, it's going to feel like what just hit me. So stay close. I know I've been reaching out to a lot of people to keep you connected. We're always around. You can always email us at broadcastteamalpha.com. And hopefully tonight, what we are going to talk about is going to help you. And, you can always connect with us on our YouTube channel. We're trying to get 5,000. So if you could contribute to that. And if you want to contribute with the super chat button, we thank you for that as well. So Aage, how's it going?
Oh, it's wonderful. I don't know any other way to do it.
Aww.
Yeah, and I tell you though, Nori, you are so right, because you can hear it, you can feel it. In fact, you can see it all around us, that people are becoming more aware.
Yes.
I can talk to strangers, maybe things that I could not talk about, and they would just laugh me off 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Now they stand there and listen, and they nod their head, and they not just one or two there. I talk to strangers all the time, and they are there. Not quite necessarily with us, but they are listening like maybe they wouldn't do before. So I can see a real change.
Yeah, no, I see that. I totally see that. And I see it so much that I like going out again. Like there was a period
Yeah.
of time before this change really happened where it was just better to not be around people who were closed off to it or not awake or whatever word you want to use. But you're right. I mean, it's so easy to have conversations with people it wasn't so forthcoming in the past. So I like it. I like what's happening. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is much easier to have conversations with strangers because they're more open. And the thing about it is that what we talk about, what you and me have been talking about on radio shows and other things that we're doing, it is for the most backed up by quantum mechanics. Because within that concept, that quantum mechanics rule, there is mind. And we're talking about the mind all the time, what the mind can do. And the thing about it is that we really don't understand how powerful this mind is.
Right. So what did you say about a rule? I didn't quite get that. What was it?
I said within the concept of quantum mechanics, where quantum mechanics rule.
Where quantum mechanics rules.
Yeah, it's kind of based on their concepts and principles and the micro world, not the macro world where we are living in, but the micro world. This is what we're talking about is backed up by quantum mechanics.
Right.
So especially now, I might stretch them a little bit once in a while because I've seen some things that maybe point in the direction of what I'm talking about. But quantum mechanics, they are coming along too. They're learning, they're doing new experiments. And we live in a mind-created universe. And that is a term that people have heard probably, but do we really know what that means?
What does it mean, Aage? Because you say it a lot.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
A mind-created universe, that means that the mind creates everything you see, feel, and experience, and everything you have around you is created by the mind.
That's true.
With
That's
other
true.
words, then again, if that's the case, there is nothing there. I'm tapping on the computer, but it is really not there. It is the mind that is creating the computer through a system of holographic projection created by the mind and gives us the perception of reality and solidness. Boy, this one is hard to wrap our heads
Well,
around.
I'm certainly glad that my laptop works, considering it's not here, because I wouldn't be on Skype tonight doing this show if that wasn't happening.
I know, yeah, but it's here. It's part of the illusion and the holographic principles that we are working and do everything we do. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But also behind it all, if it is mind created and we create our own reality, that means that we can change our reality by injecting thoughts of different things to try to create other things in addition to that what we may have otherwise.
Whoa. Can you
We can
say that? Can you say that again?
okay. Maybe we can change our mind. Let's say we have something in our life that really isn't all that pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe since it is mind created, we can change our mind and alter the perception of what we may not like that much.
Right. We can change it. We can change things by thinking about them. Well, we can change things by thinking about things differently and perceiving
Yeah,
them differently.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that changes the reality because maybe it was bogging us down, but if we start changing our perception of it, it may not be so bad. And from there on, we may even leave it all together and leave it over there too far out to the left where it belongs, and we don't
Wait,
even.
are we leaving the perception, the old perception?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I almost got lost there. We were going so far.
Oh, yeah, far out to the left.
What was the, yeah, what's the left all about? I don't get that.
I don't know either. I don't really care much about the left. So,
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
yeah. And right now we got things that is happening in this world that really need some help.
Yeah, we do.
Since we create everything around us. And quantum mechanics also tells us that if we're not thinking of it, observing it, or interacting with it in some fashion, it does not even exist. But when we think about the fires in Australia right now, the whole country is just about, well, the inner part of it is burning up. That's tremendous. That's horrible. So we could probably concentrate on the fires in Australia, visualize rain over Australia.
Right. So let's just back up a little bit because I don't think we really like unpacked this. Like we're now talking about what
Yeah.
what you can actually do with the power of your mind. What you can do, it's really with your mind and your heart. When they say it's your mind, it's only half truth. The power of what we can do with that and the way that we can impact changes. Like I think HeartMath did that study back in the, I don't know if it was the 90s about the efficacy of prayer. And
Yeah, they found it works.
exactly. And so it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So whether you pray or whether you in visualize during a meditative kind of state, or whether you do a walking meditation where you think about the things that you want, it's really all the same thing. But I feel like now we're opening to the age where we're coming together to use it. And that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about a mastermind, which is a meeting or a session where people get together for a common intention. So last week it was our beta test. We came together for good health, and it wasn't for just good health of the people who were in the mastermind, because several of us had intentions for good health for other people who were in agreement with that. And it was a powerful mastermind. It was a powerful visualization where we joined the power, our mind power, to go out and to do what it does, right, in the magic of the universe, to bring better health for certain people. And that we were very specific about who it was. And we're going to be doing it again. So tonight, when Aage began talking about the fires, that's how we got to the fires. So
Yeah.
do you want to go on, Aage?
Yeah, and when we talk about the mastermind, what it can do, it has phenomenal track record. Maybe we should mention especially one of them, because you were right in the middle of that when it happened, and that was that tornado. That was the hurricane that was coming up across Cuba.
Yeah, I was in North Carolina, being, preparing for it. But it was the one that was supposed to be a category 4 or 5 when it hit, and it was barreling toward the East Coast, Florida and up the coast. And we we actually invited people on social media to envision with us. So whether you see, feel, imagine, like some people see things the way that they see in their mind, the way their furniture is arranged when they're like at work. They can see in their mind how their furniture is arranged in their house. So some people, feels things that way, but they don't call it the word feel. So when you see and feel, and where was I going with this? I just got lost with the
No,
furniture in my house. I visualized it and I lost my train of thought.
that's a new one. You got lost. You got lost in your own house. How about that?
I did, in the vision of it. So where was I going with that?
No, I think you were trying to explain the severity of the hurricane
That's
coming
right.
up.
Thank you. I really took a side road there. So everybody was doing that. And this was not weird for me because I got to spend some of my early adult years living in Virginia Beach, which is the land of Edgar Cayce. The Association for Research and Enlightenment is there. So it was not unusual for little groups of spiritual people to pray and meditate, or even go to the Association of Research and Enlightenment, where you sit on the top floor and look out this window and all you see is the horizon over the ocean, and you can meditate there, and people would get together there and meditate for hurricanes to go away. So we invited people to envisioning the hurricane as a non-event. And I picked those words specifically because I wanted it to be as generic as possible, because you may see a hurricane turning into a storm in a different way. Then I might see it, then Aage might see it. And the words that we would describe that are all completely different. So when I say a non-event, that gives you full license in your imagination to see the storm becoming a non-storm in the way that works best for you. So we did that. And by the time it went from Cuba to Florida, it was 90 miles. It fizzled out to only a tropical storm. I mean, it was, everybody was prepared for it. People were based for it. People were, windows were taped and groceries were bought and people had left and people had stayed and there were going to be hurricane parties and nothing happened.
Yeah, no
Nothing
party.
happened. Well, I'm sure they still had their parties,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, it became a non-event. And Aage and I have been talking about this for a long time, so that helped confirm that doing the masterminds is the direction that we're going to go in addition to what other stuff we do.
Yeah.
So this weekend, this Sunday, we're having a mastermind, and it's going to be for Australia. So, whatever it is that evokes that feeling in your heart, that you want to do something to help them, We're going to get together Sunday. It's on Zoom. If you want to join us, you can just send an email to the Mastermind Connection. Has to have THE in the beginning, at gmail.com. And, we'll get the link to you. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, right, Aage?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is. Yeah, and I kind of already started on this situation in Australia, and the thing about it is that sometimes I'm going to go out on a limb here and explain what I heard. There was I think it was I forget who it was now, but it was one of the thought leaders that he said that when you pray for something using the spiritual language, you may get the answer, you may get what you ask for before you pray for it, because in the quantum, outside of the physical, there is no space and time as we know it. The past, present, and future sitting there all together. So if we are asking for something right now, and something that may have happened or starting to happen, let's say a while ago, we could get results for what we are praying for now or masterminding now yesterday. So this...
There's another reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another reason, because even before we get down to the formality of praying or intending, there are things going on in our head, prior to us doing the formality of it. And if it's a situation that's very emotional for us and we're thinking about the well-being of it, we're actually sending those prayers and intentions out early. They're going out before you ever pray or intend or sit down or meditate, because that's the communication pattern. That's the frequency that we put out that contributes to the greater good.
Absolutely. That is right, because the mastermind session or the prayer that we do today, it could have started 3 weeks ago.
Right.
We just never got around to actually asking for it before today.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, the past, present, and future exist all at the same time, and that's another factor. Harder to grasp, though, than the emotional frequency language going out of us. That to me seems a little easier to grasp than the past, present, and future being. That's one of those things. It's like math. You just have to accept the formula until you understand it, right?
Yeah, I don't understand the formulas in quantum mechanics. I can understand the principles and the thoughts and the theories, that I can understand. But when it gets into the equations of it, I lose myself very quickly.
Yeah. So shout out, you guys. Look at you in here carrying on in the chat room. So Margaret's there, and Matthew. Hey, Matt. And Augie's there, and Shady D. Hey, everybody. Let me scroll down. You guys are having a good time in here. My goodness.
Yeah. Almost as good a time as we do.
Yeah. So, so where were we? We took another side road.
Yeah,
not as bad as the side road when I got lost in.
I want to dwell on Australia just a little more, because it is so important.
Let's do that.
Because I know I told you this before, Nori, and you almost broke down when I told you, and that is I read in.
Oh wait, are you gonna say the animal thing?
I was going to think about it, but
okay, then I'm gonna pull my earbuds for a couple minutes, because I can't hear it again. All right. So are you gonna do it? Because I'm gonna pull my earbuds. I'll come back.
Yeah, give me about 10 seconds and I'll be done.
Goodbye.
Okay. Yeah, I read in an overseas newspaper that there is close to about 400 million animals and birds that has perished in Australia. In the interior is cleaned up. There is not much left. And this is something that I'm hoping we can make a change for, because they definitely need some help down there. They need some rain. And I invite everybody out there listening right now, visualize rain over Australia. See it coming down. Feel it coming down on the fires, putting them out. Because this is something that I got friends down there, and it's really close to my heart. This needs to happen. And I hope Nori is back.
I'm back. I'm back. Um, so with that, because everybody, and I'm really tapping into my hypnotherapy training, everybody imagines and sees things differently. So if seeing rain coming down on the fire, like, isn't what gets you, you just can't really wrap your imagination around that. It could be or better, right? I love going into the or better, this or better, because or better means that there might be something out there that the universe hasn't really let us know that's lining up for these fires. And maybe something else will happen that's amazing. Maybe something would be created or something, but when we say or better, we leave those possibilities open. We remain open to those possibilities.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because rain is normally what we would think of to put out a fire, but there may be other reasons that could get the same result.
Right. So in law of attraction and in my classes, that's why we go pretty vigorously on the, release attachment to the outcome. You've got to release attachment to the outcome, because if you have one single mind, one single ray of thought of the only way that you're going to get the answer, the only way you're going to get the boyfriend, the only way you're going to get the money, you just closed off to the ultimate possibilities that could have brought it way, way sooner. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, really good stuff. Really good.
Yeah, yeah, and this is just one of the things that we are going to be doing on Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time, and we really would like to hear from everybody out there to becoming part of this.
So, hang on. I'm just trolling for thumbs up. Hey, everybody, please hit. Hey, I can do it. I don't have to type. Will you guys hit the thumbs up for us, please? Thank you.
Oh, hey,
Um,
I didn't know there was a thumb in there. Okay. Uh,
yeah.
there is another thing that we also going to do, and that is good health. There is another piece of track record that I want to mention, because that's close to my heart, and that is a friend of mine up in the Midwest in Iowa. Don up there, his daughter got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And those of you out there that know a little bit about cancer, nobody recovers from that, hardly ever. But we surrounded her with a mastermind, and somehow that mastermind created a situation for her where the church group got involved. She got on a little bit of different supplements. She's got a different doctor that gave her some different treatment. And of course, we did our thing, and you did your thing with the Reiki treatment. And 2 to 3 months later, maybe 2.5 months later, she went for a checkup, and there were no cancer in her body.
And it had manifested in different parts of her body, and some that you could actually see. So what you were saying, Aage, about we surrounded her in a mastermind. So we surrounded her with thought, right, with feeling, thought, energy of
Yeah.
well-being. We all had a different vision of her being well, and that's the way energy works, right? So you start
Yeah.
there and you raised your energy because you have a mastermind around you. Well, the cooperative components of the universe begin lining up. That's why the old doctor fell away. That's why a new church group came into being. That's why these new supplements showed up. That's the way that energy works.
Yeah, it pulls in all the resources in order to help the situation. And of course, we can't take the entire credit for this because she is the one that created this in her reality, because she somehow, through her father, got a hold of me and I got a hold of Nori, and we started putting things together. I got them introduced to the supplements and she found the doctor on her own, and all of this rolled into one situation around her created by the mastermind that she actually kind of created.
Well, she did, because, and even before this, she would not have even known what a mastermind was, because that wasn't, she wasn't really in that community. But, I got to work with her many, many days in a row. And I've been a nurse a long time, and I've seen the energy of people who choose to live past a disease that said they're supposed to die. And she just had sheer, unmitigated faith in God. That's sheer faith in God, and that's what she went on. But it was that energy, and the vibration of that energy is totally healing. It was that energy that went out and attracted the mastermind, and it went out and it attracted a new doctor, a better doctor, and it went out and it attracted a church group, and it went out, and that's how it works.
Yeah, yeah,
It's law of attraction.
yeah. And she had some help in that, and you were one big part of that help, and I was too. I called her and talked to her, and you counseled her, and we kept her up. Whenever she fell down, you were right on top of it, and you brought her back up again. We all need that at times.
Well, we do all need that, because especially when you're trying to heal something, because the energy that you go into when you fall down, right? The energy that you go into when you fall down and you isolate and you stop eating, or you eat too much, or you start smoking again. When you fall down, that energy is really a lower frequency, right?
Yeah, yeah. And once then that where she had surrounded herself with that lower vibration and lower frequency, and then you called her and you guys
Right,
talk, that
right.
brings her back up.
Right. So, and what the point that I was trying to make is, when you hit in that lower frequency, you fall out of the frequency range of healing. You fall out of it, and
Yeah,
you're not in the frequency of healing. You're down in that other frequency. So it's really important to only stay there as short a period of time as possible, and don't beat yourself up, right? But that's why we were calling her all the time, to try and keep her emotions and her spirits buoyed, so she didn't dip down into the lower energies. Yeah. And you do need that. And that's what a gift, right, of joining the mastermind and being with people who get it, right? Being with people who you can make friends with, so that when you have one of those times, you have people that you can just, text or message and say, hey, can you, put a mastermind around me? I mean, it's
yeah,
an incredible community that's going to be built.
yeah, absolutely. And see, that's why somebody wiser than me said one time that worry is kind of like you're praying for something that you don't want.
And you always get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, can't be
So that's
careful.
worry is organized negative thinking, and you don't want whatever you're thinking about. So quit doing it.
Well, it's not that easy to just quit
I
doing it,
know.
but when people come and do the mastermind with us and go, into the visualized meditations, they're gonna bring that tool of, doing visualized meditations for themselves back home with them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Boy, this gets, and for everybody out there that has some health challenges, I don't care if it's a sore toe or it could be absolutely anything. Try it. Come and join us and be part of this. Actually, there's nothing really to join. Just come and listen, because we will send you the link and you just come and listen. If you like it, then you stay with it. If you don't, then you don't have to. It's free anyway. The live sessions are free, so come and check it out.
Well, I'm not saying yet, but I may have information that would be very, very surprising from last week's session, because I did not go into it for me. I went into it for other people, but I feel a difference. And I'm not going to say anything, until I've lived with this for a week to see if it's really real.
Oh,
But I know I may have some interesting information.
oh yeah, another result from the mastermind. I can
Hmm.
feel that one coming.
Hmm.
That's good. That is wonderful.
You
Yeah,
can't
and
you can't be in that energy and not feel better.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's all around you. And it's not just you carrying the ball anymore. You have all the other minds to help you carry the ball.
Carry the ball. That's true.
Yeah. Atlas, he was carrying the whole world on his shoulder, and we're just carrying ourselves with a lot of help.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of us that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
I started to talk about Australia a little bit, and to create rain or another situation down there, it is far-fetched. How could we actually do something like this? Well, we don't know before we try it, but there is a track record on that one too, because Art Bell, some 25 years ago, when Texas was burning up, hadn't rained for 3-4 months, he asked his listeners to visualize rain over Texas, and it happened that night and the next day. And there were no moisture in the computer models anywhere that could create that rain, but it rained. So it happened. Maybe we can do the same thing. Do you think?
Hmm.
It is very possible. So we're going to try that this coming Sunday, and we would love for you to be part of it.
Mm. So in the chat room, Shady D said that her coworker's wife was just diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. She offered to help, but she refused and looked down on what we do. She refuses to open her mind and would rather die and admit any different. Well, that's unfortunate, but you know what, Shady D, just keep a trickle of energy going in her direction. Just like drip in her direction with your energy, because she might be scared, or
Yeah.
I might think that when people offer this stuff, people who don't really know it may think that it comes from a dark source. So it would make sense to me that some people initially won't accept it, but as we show people who we are and what we do, people will be like, can I get an appointment? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people that deny themselves the opportunity to see and find out what this would be, that could be that they're buried in religion or dogma somewhere, and they just are told that don't touch it. And this has nothing to do with religion. It's the mind. It's the universal mind where we are all connected.
Right.
So they don't understand that because they have never read any quantum mechanics, for one thing. I'm sure of that, because if they did, then they would understand that it could be possible.
And there's another category. There's another category of people, and it so needs to be talked about, that are not necessarily refusing to be made well, right? Refusing to have somebody co-create with them to increase their well-being. They're not refusing it, but some people, their body has to go through a thing. And it's not that people are being resistant or they don't want it. They understand their journey and their path in such a deep way that they know when like a mastermind is going to work, or when a Reiki session is going to work, and they know when it isn't. And it's okay. We still have to love them. And there are the
Yeah.
other, right, category of people who, for them, healing is transitioning. we look at it like, oh my God, they didn't heal, they died. But for a lot of people, especially right now, healing is transitioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to love people for that. We have to, just full acceptance.
Yeah, and I think that what you just said there also taps into something that we may have come here with. We come here with a master plan for our life, and maybe this so-called ailment, whatever it is part of that master plan for you to experience and learn from. And then as soon as you may be diagnosed with something, you haven't had all of the experience yet. You're supposed to learn more from it, and it's going to be sticking with you for a while. And in order for it to stick with you, you got to turn down an opportunity like this. So you get the rest of the learning experience, and at the tail end of that, maybe you come around to the point that, yeah, maybe I should try this MasterMind, or maybe I should try this other drug or other treatment after all.
Right. But I have to say that while you're going it alone, not doing a mastermind or Reiki or something like that, and if you're dealing with an ailment, if you're dealing with a dis-ease, if you're dealing with anything in your body that you have to learn to live with for a certain amount of time, you really need support.
Yeah.
I have a coach. Thank God my life coach is also a healer, so I get to work on everything that I need to work on. But if you have that, let's call it a contract, right? Maybe there's something that and having worked in the burn trauma unit, I saw many people who chose, I know this is weird, who chose a certain trauma for whatever they had to go through. But believe me, I was there when they came in saying, you can use your mind and your prayers to make yourself well. Here's what happened. You have a 99 point mortality rate, but you know what? You can live. You can change your mind. You can do so. So I don't even know how I got on that, but I guess it needed to be said.
Well, it made sense.
Well,
And
people who did have 99.9% mortality rates had their own little mastermind by virtue of the people that were talking to them,
yeah,
and two of them ended up walking out of the hospital. They were probably in the hospital for over a year, but it's not likely that to have a 99.9% trauma, right, broken body mortality rate and then walk out. There was
yeah,
something more that was going on there.
yeah,
And that's what's going on in the mastermind.
yeah. And we could probably, in that connection, mention the medicine-less hospital in China.
Beijing, yeah.
Yeah, they cured cancer in 3 minutes from the time of a tumor was the size of a small fist, and we could see it on the screen disappearing into nothing in a little over 3 minutes.
Right. They had an ultrasound. They had
Yeah.
an ultrasound, and the energy practitioners surrounded her, and as they did what they do with their energy, you can literally on ultrasound watch the tumor shrinking, 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 gone. Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
3 minutes.
that really happened. That made me cry. Now stuff like that moves me so
Yeah.
deeply, it makes me cry. It's so beautiful.
And there were, I think it was 4 or 5 people standing around the bed at the hospital, basically doing that healing. That was a powerful mastermind. Wow.
Yeah.
And
I don't, and this is a personal thing, and everybody's going to have their own idea about it. They didn't do the healing. They set the energy around the physical body in such a way that that woman could access her own healing.
I think that,
That's
yeah,
the way that I see it.
she was probably the biggest part of that,
Right.
because they created a situation where she was able to do it. Because remember, in her reality, she's the one that created everything there, so she could also recreate it. Or
Uncreate it and destroy. Absolutely.
that, there you go. Yeah. A lot of times, there is this thing that I've been talking about ever so often, that is that most prayers usually go unanswered, which may be a good thing, but in some cases. But on the other thing, on the hand, there are some real needs that is prayed for, and the answers don't come. And then they blame God or whatever at the other end. But let me compare it to something. I'm going to compare the mind to a computer. When you try to get a file out of the computer, what do you have to do? You get on there and you get on the keyboard and you ask the computer to give you something. And if the computer is full of virus, it may not happen. Or if you put in the wrong commands on the keyboard, you may not get the file. So now let's switch over to the mind and prayer. If you ask the universal source, or whatever you call it, for
God.
something, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
If you ask for something and it doesn't happen, don't blame the computer, don't blame God, don't blame the universal source. It is because of the input that you created in the way you ask that may not have met the criteria of the language that the universal source would understand.
Oh my
Let's say you sit
God.
there totally without, let's say you're sitting without emotion, without any visual image. You're just sitting there saying, oh gosh, God, I got another payment coming up on the car. Please help me raise that money. And then if there is just words alone, good luck. You got to have the spiritual language involved, and that involved emotion, love, gratitude for already having what you ask for, and several other things that you pull in when you're sending that message of a request for something for yourself. And also there's universal law also that says that don't ask for just yourself, because that's selfish in a way that is ask for something that is good for other people also. At least 3 people. 4.
So what you were explaining in the beginning is law of attraction. Your
Yeah.
energy, like energy, draws unto it like energy. So even when I was in mainstream religion, we prayed as giving thanks that it happened. And when you're in that higher vibration, that's when your frequency can go out and do what it does to connect with that like energy, and then bring to you the manifestation of what it was that you initially intended or prayed for.
Yeah. It really is simple. Don't mean easy, but it's simple. If you understand the universal language and the principles that the universe work on, you can get a lot of stuff done. And this is probably why some people are able to pray and get results, and other people, they do it over and over and over again and nothing happen. Do you think?
I think that's one aspect of it. I think there are multifactorial things that go
Yeah.
along with this. People certain spirituality and degree of I don't know, awakening, ascension, connection. Degree of connection is the right word. There's a lot of other factors, but I think for the beginning, it's good. Like energy equals like energy. So, I mean, the thing that we're praying for is amazing, right? So we need to match that vibration. And
Yeah.
if you can't match that vibration because you're scared, that health is out of reach, you're scared that money is out of reach, then you can do other things and use gratitude and, thinking about beautiful things that make you happy. You can get to it that way as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a saying, and that is
Uh-oh.
that, yeah, well, all right. All of my saying don't necessarily fly all the time, but I hope this one does. If you think like the masses do, you are going to have. No, you are going to be like the masses are. If you, how was this? Now I'm trying to take this out of memory. If you do like the masses do, you are going to have what the masses have. That was the second part of it. So what you're doing is not working for you, do something different. Now that don't mean quit what you're doing, but do something additional. So if we relate that back to an illness, if the cure for your illness is not working, do something different. In addition to, if you go to the Cancer Society's own website, they show right there, chemo's got a 98% failure ratio over 5 years. Why in the world would anybody want to do that?
Because we've been sold a bill of goods that's the standard treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's why I'm saying do something in addition to. And boy, I've done a lot of addition too, and I'm still doing it. We're going to do this mastermind group here because I think the world needs some help, and I would love doing it. So I'm going to repeat that again. Our email address is themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Send us an email and we will be back to you with more information and how you can connect to be part of this. Because first of all, it's going to be fun. We're going to do a lot of neat things there, like teaching meditation and other things. So you can have a look at that too later. But this is going to be fun, and you can be part of doing some really amazing things. We told you some of the track record of things that has been done by creation of masterminds. That should be interesting to be part of doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Makes sense to me. I was waiting for the chat room to reply. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, you guys. So Margaret said you have to want to live and believe you are already healed. That's true.
Yes.
But there are shades, right? You know, when you hit that low point, you're in the dark. You know, sometimes you have to go through gray and then lighter gray and lighter gray and lighter gray before you see light. So, yeah, but that's beautiful.
Well, so I am asking the chat room, what else could we try to do with a mastermind? Anything big that we can help the world with? Give us a suggestion.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, let's hear from you.
Because we were thinking about, of course, weather and the fires and health.
And also abundance is going to be one of the next ones coming up.
Right, abundance.
And you'll be amazed what can happen there, because that's been done before too. And be part of that one if you can use some abundance. What else do you suggest that we should do?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of causes out there, the ocean and the bees, and there's so many incredible causes. But if a lot of people came with a bunch of environmental or geological causes, we can create a mastermind and everybody can have their individual cause, but we can still intend and mastermind for healing and well-being. And you could be thinking of bees, and I'm going to be thinking of whales, and Augie's going to be thinking of the ocean, but we can all blend that for the well-being of the geology or the ecosystem or whatever it is that we're masterminding on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things I mentioned a little bit about earlier, and that's the spiritual language.
Mm,
It is one of, it's not one of words, but it's one of emotion, intention, compassion for others or yourself, feeling of love, and a detailed description or a visualized image of the things that you want.
yeah,
Those things are very important because that's the language that the universe will understand.
right.
So think about that next time you are in prayer or in meditation. Put it out that way. And feeling of love is one of the things that is probably at the top of that list. But it's difficult to create the feeling of love in your body. That's you know what it is. You kind of understand that love is love, but how do you feel it? I got a suggestion, and the only one I can suggest is what I do. I keep saying over and over again in my mind, I say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I also, everybody loves something. So think of something that you love. It could be your mom. That's what I do. Everybody.
Cheesecake.
Yeah, that okay. I'm with
Mm-hmm.
you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Cheesecake, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But try something like that with the spiritual language. Add that to what you're doing if you haven't been successful had a lot of success with prayer before. Try it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they come to the mastermind, they'll, we don't do a lot of teaching, didactic stuff. We just get into it, and your experience as your teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, what could be better? So Shady D asked, what did she ask? Can you can you overthink to the point of sabotaging? Absolutely. Overthinking is sabotaging.
Yep.
Because if you're overthinking, you're totally, far away from the energy that you want to be in, and probably far away from the thing that you're even thinking about in the first place, right?
Mm. Yeah. When the conscious mind get involved, it clogs the channel too.
Mm,
So you don't get necessary. You can be connected to the universal source, but it gets stopped or clogged before it makes it up to conscious understanding, where you can actually understand what message you got. Or you may not be able to send the message out because your subconscious is running subconscious negative mind programs, or your conscious thinking just breaks in the middle of what you're trying to do and create other thoughts that cuts off the stream of positive energy or vibration going out. I don't know what I said there, but it sounded
I
good.
don't know. That was a lot.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen to that. Oh, that's funny. Oh, Margaret's got a cheesecake recipe. Oh my goodness, somebody does. Pumpkin
Yeah.
cheesecake. Stop it, you guys. Wait, a fabulous two-layer cheese. Oh my goodness, they're killing me
No,
in here. Okay, we got to stop.
no, she's getting worse.
Oh, no, I want cheesecake. So, anyway, let's see if I can manifest a cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is exciting. I look forward to seeing who shows up. And you can get the invitation to show up by emailing themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And you can find me at Everything Conscious. Of course, you can find me on Facebook, but if you're no longer on Facebook, you guys can find me at Everything Conscious. And Augie, what's your website? The Universal
Um,
Consciousness Dash
yeah.
Show.
Yeah, there is www.universal-consciousness-show.com. And if you want to have some fun afternoon sometime when you get absolutely nothing else to do, go in there and click on the picture gallery. There is 5,400 pictures of unbelievable things that is not supposed to exist and happen.
I don't know
Huh?
if I ever have a time
No,
when I
but
have nothing else to do.
yeah,
I think I'd have to make time for that. I would have to
yeah.
schedule it. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
it's and there's a lot of articles in there. In fact, there is an article in there on page number 6 or 7, I think, on the blogs where you can go through and you can find out how you can reverse the aging process, or at least part of it. Because that was the Nobel Prize was given for the discovery of that, and explains in there, and also about what the guy, 256-year-old man that died from an accident. You can read about him too. So yeah, it's all possible. It's all mind.
It is mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
this was fun.
yeah, we're getting down
We're done.
towards, yeah, getting towards the end here, and I sure appreciate everybody in the chat room. I even found it today, so I'm able to see what you guys are writing in there.
Thanks for the thumbs up, you guys, too. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. We'll be back here more often, I think. So, yay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Aage. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. See if Miss Katie's here with us. I'm sure she is.
Yeah, be a little lean on that cheesecake, would you?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week with cheesecake.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.